Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Paranormal Stakeout. I'm Larry Lawson, your host, and I'm coming to you from the X-Zone Radio and Television Broadcast Network in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and I'm speaking to you from my studio in the Southern Command Post of the XZBN Nation down in beautiful Vero Beach and Fellsmere, Florida. And I'd like to thank all of you for coming on back and joining us on our continuing journey to discover what really lies beyond the veil of life as we know it. And tonight, to join us on our little adventure is Miss Clarissa Vazquez. Clarissa is a Colorado native and avid paranormal investigator. After serving in the U.S. Air Force and having her first paranormal experience while enlisted, Clarissa returned to Colorado and later founded the Colorado Coalition of Paranormal Investigators, or the CCPI, in 2004. Her dedication and research of paranormal phenomena led to her subsequent calling as a minister. She has authored a number of books as well as being featured in several others. Some of the books that she has penned are Ghosts of the Heart, A Paranormal Investigator's Journey, Ghost Hunting in Colorado, Theories for Worldwide Investigations, Phantom Trains and Haunted Rails in the U.S., Debunking Common Paranormal Myths, Exploring Psychosomatic Pareidolia, and the one that's currently waiting to be released, one that I'm particularly interested in, Ghosts and the Bible. Clarissa, welcome to Paranormal Stakeout.
Thanks for having me, Larry.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. First of all, thank you for your service to the country, serving in the Air Force. How long did you serve?
I only did 2 years.
2 years. What did you do, if I may ask, in the service?
I was in logistics.
Ah, okay. Now, obviously, that first line in there kind of caught me. I want to hear about how you got started in the field and your team, but having your first experience while being enlisted, tell us about it.
Yeah, I was at my first duty station, fresh out of training, and being a low-ranking member on the totem pole, I was tasked with assisting in the remodeling, restructuring, if you will. The hospital at my duty station was in the process of turning their former morgue into a physical therapy department. And so I was tasked with helping to clean up construction debris sweeping up brick dust and asbestos, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Yeah.
that tells you how long ago it was.
Yeah. Take a
And
breath of that.
yeah. And I was returning back down into that basement area after lunch, if you will. We called it noontime chow, but went back into that basement area and saw a man standing in the center of the gutted out basement. And he was wearing a uniform, not of the time period. The uniform that we were wearing then was the green camouflage battle dress uniform, or
Mm-hmm.
BDU. And he was wearing the olive drab combat fatigues that you would see like 1960s, 1970s. But he was very clean cut, very rugged, very handsome, and very tangible, three-dimensional, very corporeal, just as real as if you and I were sitting in the same room looking at each other. He
Mm-hmm.
was not transparent or wispy or anything like that, but he did look out of place. And so I approached him. I got within about 10 feet of him, and I said, excuse me, sir, is there something I can help you with? And he looked at me, looked away, and walked through a cinder block wall and disappeared.
Well, then, that's a fine how do you do.
Yeah.
So, first time in your life you'd ever experienced something like that.
Yes. Yes. And it didn't occur to me to be scared at the time. I was more befuddled than anything. And so, I got back to my barracks that night and called my mom. I'm like, you're not going to believe what happened to me today. And she says, well, are you going to try to find him tomorrow? And I said, well, yeah, of course I am. I never saw him again.
Mm-hmm.
But what it did was it sparked an insane curiosity within me that, just could not be squelched. I went off base and got a library card. The internet was still in its infancy. Paranormal TV wasn't a thing. And so I started reading every book I could get my hands on.
Mm-hmm.
Books like Hans Holzer and Ed Warren and, the pioneers of the field. I was reading their books and, really trying to understand what I had experienced. And ultimately, I started practicing. I was going out, to creepy locations, mostly cemeteries,
Yeah.
with a Polaroid camera and an analog tape recorder. And I'm dating myself just by saying that. But going out and practicing and ultimately gaining some skill in what I was doing. And, that was over 20 years ago. And in 2004, I started CCPI.
Mm-hmm.
And we are celebrating our 15th year in existence this year and going strong. And we've got 12 team members, including myself, and things are great.
Outstanding. Now, you had your first experience there. It started this insatiable desire to find out what this truly was.
Mm-hmm.
How long did you go before you started collecting other bits of evidence that kept yourself moving forward? Did you get it right away? Did you have to work for it?
It was at first it was, the book reading phase,
Mm-hmm.
what did I experience? And the more I read, the more I realized, okay, if I'm going to experience something, I need to actually try to experience it. I can't just rely on sheer dumb luck and random happenstance.
Mm-hmm.
I need to actually put some effort into this. And so that's when I went out and started practicing and, utilizing tools to, try to obtain some sort of data, that could be paranormal in nature. And that was probably a year later that I went out and started actively working in the field. When I slowed down on the book reading, I have never stopped with the book reading, but I slowed down with the book reading.
Have you done any type of formal training? Now, back in those days, there really wasn't any formal training.
Right.
But do you partake in any of that now? Do you have any of your team members take courses? Do you do any yourself?
I don't take courses per se, and my team members are trained largely by myself.
Okay.
I've been doing this for over 20 years now, and so I kind of have a pretty good idea for what works and what doesn't, as far as techniques and methods and ethical practices and things like that.
Yeah, well, I do want to talk a little bit about that, actually. Now, I'm looking through your bio here. Really interesting stuff. This whole thing ended up leading to your calling as a minister. Tell me how that came about. How did that come about?
Once CCPI was founded, and we were obtaining clients, and really how CCPI came to be about was a friend of mine. He and I had this mutual interest, and I had experience, roaming around in cemeteries with a camera and a tape recorder, and he really didn't. But by then, paranormal TV was starting to become a thing, and so he kind of had a general idea, and so we started running around together, which is actually a safe practice. At the time when I was running around by myself, I didn't understand, recognize, or realize, just how dangerous that was, to be running around in a cemetery at night by yourself. And so he and I started working on it together. And a few of our friends started going, hey, I think there's something going on in my house. Can you guys come and check it out? You're crazy. You look for this stuff. Come check it out. And then other people said, well, you went and checked out so-and-so's house. Can you come check out our house? Or can you come check out our place of business? And, word really started getting out, and we started gaining steam. And that's really what led to the birth of CCPI. And, we went, okay, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to go all the way. And so we built a website. We took on team members whom we trained, and now we are the second longest running paranormal investigation organization in the state of Colorado, second only to Rocky Mountain Paranormal, which has us beat by 5 years.
Okay.
And we are, we're still going strong. And
okay. How did this end up bringing you into the ministry, though?
We would receive, occasionally we would get clients that would say, this goes against everything that my church has taught me. This goes against everything I learned in Sunday school. This goes against everything in the Bible. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there going, no, actually it doesn't. And it was really difficult for clients to accept what the crazy ghost lady was telling them. Mm-hmm. And so I actually went to seminary and became ordained. I didn't just sign up online. Where'd
you go to seminary?
I went to Sacred Heart Global Ministry.
Uh-huh.
And studied under Reverend Michael Torfey. And ultimately, became ordained. And so it's a lot easier to receive the word and to listen to scripture and to receive information if it comes from a minister as opposed to coming from the crazy ghost lady. I'm still the crazy ghost lady. I just have this nifty little reverend title in front of me.
Crazy Reverend Ghost Lady, I got to cut you off here because we got to take our first break here. Sure. But when we come back, I'd like to chat a little bit more about that. Folks, stay with us. This is Paranormal Stakeout with my guest tonight, Clarissa Vazquez. Be right back.
It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shamans worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions, offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
And we are back on Paranormal Stakeout. My guest, Clarissa Vazquez, director of the Colorado Coalition of Paranormal Investigators. And Clarissa, before the break, we were talking about your ordination as a minister. Now, what denomination is this, if I may ask?
It's non-denominational.
Non-denominational.
Right. There's no specific affiliation attached to my credentials.
Okay. How long were you in seminary? How long was this whole program?
It took me about a year. Yeah, it takes others. It takes a lot longer, but I happen to be an accelerated learner.
Okay.
Much to the chagrin of my college professors when I was in college, because I would breeze through their syllabus faster than they could assign it. But yeah, it took me about a year to complete my courses and pass all of my tests, and so I can put the nifty little REV in front of my name.
Okay. And it's a standalone seminary. It's not attached to a university or anything like that at all. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Online course, I assume?
No. It was, when it was in operation, it was located in Grand Junction, Colorado. Mm-hmm. And that location has since closed its doors, and they have moved to California.
Okay. All righty. And a Sacred Heart Ministries, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, how did you? I get what you're saying, that it may give your client maybe a little bit more comfort in the information that you're giving them, but how does that help you as an investigator do a better job? And do you find any contradictions between the contradictions they say that are out there between Christian religion? I assume your ordination is in the Christian faith, I'm assuming?
Yes,
okay.
It is.
Non-denominational. But there's many people that say there's definitely that's on the other side of evil. We shouldn't do that. How do you explain as a reverend the contradictions that most people see in paranormal work and the Christian religion? How do you?
Right. There are a lot of people that believe that that merely interacting with or trying to communicate with spirits is a violation of God's word. And what they don't realize is that there is a lot of mention within the Bible itself, as will be pointed out in my up-and-coming book, Ghosts in the Bible, that there's a lot of interaction with ghosts and spirits outside of the Holy Ghost. There's in the book of 1 Samuel, when Saul utilizes the gifts of the witch of Endor, he essentially consults a psychic, to bring forth the ghost of Samuel, to provide, guidance and wisdom, et cetera, in the Great War. And there's a lot of mention of it in the Bible, and people don't really realize that. And So, I can sit down with a client and say, look, this may be what you're taught, but I've got a Bible sitting on my bookshelf right now. I'm looking at it right now, and I bring, if I need to, I can bring that with me and sit down with a client and point to them, in this New King James Version Bible. It's not some off the wall version. It's a New King James Version, and say, look, right here is where it is written. And this is as you believe to be the Word of God. So, let's take a look at it. For me personally, I don't find any contradiction with it. I just use it as another tool in my arsenal for what I do. Because I personally, even though I am ordained as a minister, I am not a Christian.
Really?
So, really?
But don't you find? Okay, it brings up an interesting subject here.
Mm-hmm.
You've gone and gotten yourself ordained in a Christian denomination, not denominational, but still a Christian belief. But
Yes.
you're not Christian.
Right.
Isn't that hypocritical?
Not necessarily. I look at it as just another form of education. It's a tool that I can use to interact with my clients and communicate with them on their level based on their belief system and explain things to them in a way that they can understand that makes them more comfortable with what they are potentially experiencing.
Do any of them ask you about your faith?
No. No. They all pretty much just assume that because I'm a minister that I share their faith.
Don't you have a problem with that, though?
No, I really don't. I
Really?
believe everyone is entitled to believe what they want and how they want.
I agree with that,
and-
but aren't you kind of giving false advertising a little bit, don't you think?
No, I don't think so. As I just explained, it is a way for me to communicate with clients to help put them at ease and better understand that what they are experiencing doesn't necessarily contradict their beliefs.
Okay, I agree with you. I see what you're saying, and I certainly agree that everybody has the right to believe whatever they want. But if you go in with Reverend before your name and you tell them, I have the Bible here, I can talk to you about the Bible,
Right.
but I really don't believe it.
I don't tell them that I don't believe it.
But isn't that, and you don't have a problem with that?
No, I really don't. Just because it's not what I believe doesn't mean it's not what my clients believe. And when you're dealing with a potentially paranormal situation, everyone's individual faith and their own power is what is going to be their strongest ally in combating what is going on within their personal space. So I can go in with my belief system and tell them you need to do X, Y, and Z, but if they don't believe in it, they're not going to have as much energy or as much power behind what they are doing as if I'm giving them tips, the same tips essentially that follow their practices.
But they believe that you have the same faith as them, so therefore they trust you more.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll look at it this way. I'm an old time cop, and truth and veracity is very, very important to me. I just find that very contradictory and kind of, I'm going to be honest with you, I've got a problem with that, telling somebody you're a reverend but you really don't believe just to make them feel comfortable. I just have a problem with that. That's my opinion.
Look at it this way, Larry. If you were a school teacher and you were a diehard Christian school teacher, but the curriculum that you were required to teach requires you to teach evolution. Even though it goes against your belief system, you're still required to teach it. Because
but I'm not sitting there saying I'm a ordained Christian minister, though.
No, but you are going in and saying you are a teacher.
That's okay. I think we're kind of on two different. If you have a curriculum, if I walked into that classroom and said I absolutely believe in Darwinism and this is correct, even though I'm a Christian. Okay, you're not being truthful. I get that part of it. But if you're just teaching a curriculum, you're teaching a curriculum. You're not espousing to be something else. That's my point.
Right. And so the way I approach it is as a teacher. I don't go in and preach my beliefs. I approach them based on their belief system. I don't go into a Catholic's house and say, you need to say, 4 Our Fathers and 5 Hail Marys. It's, I go in and show them based on, what they believe to be the Word of God says, applies to their particular situation. That doesn't mean I believe it.
But they're believing it because they think you're believing it.
They believe it because that's what their faith tells them to believe.
But they're putting faith in you because you have professed to them to be a reverend, and here's the Bible to show it. See, do you see where I'm coming from at all?
I see where you're coming from. However, where we're getting a little tangled here is the fact that, just because I don't believe it doesn't mean I can't teach it. And, and I can teach it. I'm licensed to teach it. And I can
licensed by who? When you say licensed?
I'm licensed by the ordination that I received.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
When I graduated from seminary.
Okay.
So I can go in and, reach my clients on their level based on their belief system and say, okay, you believe that this goes against everything that you learned in your church, in your Sunday school. Let's take a look at the Bible and see what it says. And that's it. And that's merely all I do is that, look, this doesn't necessarily go against your beliefs. And in doing so, it helps them feel more comfortable in their space and be more accepting of what's going on.
And I see that point. I guess I've got a problem with you saying you're a reverend when you don't believe. That's what bothers me. And I think, and that's one thing that I have an issue with in our field as a whole. Mm-hmm. Our folks is false advertising. People believing or being made, not being forced to believe, but being encouraged to believe in something that the person that's saying it really doesn't believe or doesn't have a view on.
Right. And it's not my job to impose.
Well, we got to take our break
right.
here. Interesting conversation. When we get back, I got some other things I want to chat with you about.
Sure.
And your team. So, folks, stay with us. Paranormal Stakeout with my guest tonight, Clarissa Vazquez. Be back in a minute.
They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by L.A. Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
And we are back on Paranormal Stakeout with my guest tonight, Clarissa Vazquez of the Colorado Coalition of Paranormal Investigators. And interesting conversation. And just to kind of cap off our last bit there, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one, Clarissa. I have an issue with that, but we'll leave it at that for as far as the show. How's that?
That sounds great.
Okay, but let's talk now, because I noticed in your bio, you talk about having a very scientific approach to investigation. In fact, creating a thing called the Phantom Hitchhiker Project.
Yes.
Tell me about your investigations. How do you conduct your investigations?
Our investigations are conducted utilizing technology. We have some of the latest technological advances that are available in the field right now. We even have the very controversial, which I'm still working to debunk, SLS cameras, and some other nifty gadgets. And we go through and we try to, first and foremost, we try to identify naturally occurring phenomena that could be contributing to what people are interpreting as paranormal experiences. If we obtain data, and I don't like using the words proof or evidence, I use the words data, word data. If we obtain data that could be paranormal in nature, that's just icing on the cake for us. Our primary focus is to help people be comfortable in their personal space, whether it's their home or their work. And so, the first step in that is saying, okay, we believe you. You're experiencing something. You are not crazy.
Okay.
The second step is to go through and say, okay, what you are interpreting as footsteps as someone, walking up and down your hallway is actually, floorboards expanding and contracting, as the temperature changes, throughout the day or night in the location, things of that nature. And if we obtain data that could be paranormal in nature, that's icing on the cake for us.
Well, if you're not getting data, though, because once again, my background is law enforcement, almost 40 years of it. So I do look at evidence as a way of bringing this case to trial, if you will.
Right, and that's what I tell people is evidence is something you can prove in court.
Right, but so you're taking a scientific approach to research, but you're using the equipment only as if you get anything on the equipment, it's icing on the cake. What are you using then to confirm or disprove paranormal activity?
If we're able to disprove, the paranormal activity, we can then present it to the clients and say, okay, what you are experiencing is caused by this, caused by X, Y, or Z, and demonstrate to them how that happens. And then, but if we obtain one piece of data, we need to have it validated by another piece of data or multiple subsequent pieces of data to validate the initial piece. We don't just take one photograph or one audio clip and say, or one hit on an EMF meter, one spike on an EMF meter, and say, "Yep, it's a ghost." No.
So how do you do that
not.
then? How do you do that? How do you triangulate the location of the evidence, so to speak, or how do you corroborate the evidence? Tell me how you do that.
We use multiple pieces of equipment. We don't just rely on one singular piece.
Okay.
So if we get a photograph or a piece of video footage in conjunction with an EVP or thermal anomaly or electromagnetic variation, then we put those together. If they all happen at the same time, then we're like, okay, we may be onto something, and then we try to duplicate it. Can we duplicate the results that we got? Sometimes we can, sometimes we cannot, and that's really where the Phantom Hitchhiker project came into being. We looked at roadside locations where a vehicle or some other type of accident led to at least one human fatality. And using a series of controls, because we were trying as closely as we could to follow the scientific method, using a series of controls. We would investigate roadside locations. And so that right there, the locations in themselves are one control because they all had that in common. They were a roadside location where an accident of some sort had led to at least one human fatality. Okay. So there's one control. The equipment that we always used the same equipment. So at each location, there's another control. We also incorporated time, temperature, and lunar phase. So we only conducted this project. The project lasted 5 years, and we only conducted it during the months of July, August, and September, which are the 3 warmest months of the year, and the temperatures out here in Colorado are pretty consistent. So we've got temperature as another control. Lunar phase, we went at, only on the nights of the full moon. So there were contributing to the theories surrounding lunar phase, because a popular theory is that paranormal activity is heightened during the full moon. So we're contributing to that theory. So again, full moon, another control. And then time, the experiment itself began precisely at the stroke of midnight. So we've got time as another control. You ask the same 5 EVP questions in sequence with a 10-second delay in between each question. So again, there's more controls with it. We tried to follow the scientific method as closely as we could in order to obtain any data. Now, the results of the experiment, we call it a successful failure, in that while we obtained absolutely zero data pointing to paranormal activity at these roadside locations. That's not to say they don't exist. That's not to say phantom hitchhikers are not out there. That's not to say that some roadside locations don't have activity.
Well, quick question for you.
Yeah.
Had all these spots and if you said this and I missed it, I apologize, but had all these spots had reported paranormal activity?
No. And that was another control that we threw in.
Okay.
Which could also be considered a variable. But while we obtained no conclusive results that said these roadside locations result in paranormal phenomena, what we did do was prove that paranormal investigation can be conducted scientifically with a series of controls, and therefore can be regarded as a legitimate form of scientific research.
Okay, and I got to admit, I like the style. Now you've gathered all this evidence data, however you want to put it. What'd you do with it?
We put it in a database.
Okay.
It is sitting on the hard drive on my computer right now, waiting for an opportunity to be utilized or contributed to someone else's project or what have you. It's sitting in the database is sitting on my hard drive, and it's just waiting for its opportunity to become useful again.
Now, I like exactly what you've described, because I'm very much a proponent of the collection preservation of evidence. Mm-hmm. Your data, how protected is it from somebody else being able to get at it? Now, you may say I've got password protected and whatnot, but is that computer sitting in your home, and is it left unsecured on your dresser, for example, or your desk?
No, it's actually on an external hard drive. So
Okay.
I can, if somebody knew exactly what they were looking for, they could break into my house and take it. But I don't know that they would know exactly what they were looking for.
Well, and maybe not, but my point being, and this is once again the cop in me, when you have evidence, it's got to be stored in a space where you can absolutely confirm the chain of custody, that you can obviously show that nobody could ever take it and tamper with it. And that's what you did is great, setting this up. I like that, but I think it needs to, my opinion, and what I'm pushing for is the step further of, let's make sure that the evidence, the data, if you will, is secured so you can testify at any time it's never been tampered with. Just a thought there. Now, have you collected data that gave you an indication there was paranormal activity?
Outside
your team. Outside of the project, yeah.
Outside of the project, yes, absolutely.
Where's that evidence at?
The really good evidence, it can be found on our website, which is ccpi-paranormal.com.
Oh, yes, I was going to mention that in just a minute.
And, we've got some really good audio files there. We've got a couple of video files and a couple of photographs. We recently conducted an investigation and finally determined this last weekend that we're not going to present it to the public. We obtained a photograph that we believe could possibly be that of a fallen firefighter, but because we can't conclusively rule out that it's not one of our investigators, and the result of slow shutter speed combined with infrared camera photography and a little bit of pareidolia, et cetera, we're not going to present it to the public. We follow the premise, when in doubt, throw it out. And there's too much doubt around that, even though we're all pretty sure, but pretty sure is not proof, if you will. We're all pretty sure that it's not one of our investigators, but because there is doubt surrounding that photograph, we're not going to present it.
Fair enough. And that's part of the ethics of this business. Do you take payment for any of your investigations?
Absolutely not.
Okay, as most don't. Well, we're about ready to take our last break. So, folks, I'd like you to stick with us. We've got one more round with Clarissa tonight, so stay with us as we talk about her and her experiences with the Colorado Coalition of Paranormal Investigators. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
Christopher Fulton is a survivor of the national security state. All he wanted to do was preserve history when he acquired a Cartier watch from the estate of President Kennedy's personal secretary. But that simple act set off a terrible chain reaction. He was pursued by the U.S. Justice Department and the FBI, thrust into the middle of the U.S. government's Assassination Records Review Board, even monitored and pursued by the Russian government. All because that Cartier watch was the missing link of evidence, a timepiece worn by JFK that fateful day in Dallas, a link resulting in Christopher being incarcerated and attacked for 9 years evidence because he opened a hidden chapter in history. The intriguing journey outlined fully in Christopher Fulton's memoir, The Inheritance, is available now through TrineDay.com or Amazon.com. The Inheritance, Poisoned Fruit of JFK's Assassination by Christopher and Michelle Fulton is a must-read, an incredible tale of how easily our own government can overrule justice. The Inheritance, Poisoned Fruit of JFK's Assassination.
Hey folks, thanks for staying with us tonight. A really interesting show with Clarissa Vazquez of the Colorado Coalition of Paranormal Investigators. You can visit her website at www.ccpi-paranormal.com. So she's got some good evidence on there and some interesting things on that website, so I recommend you take a look at it. Also note that she's written several books: Ghosts of the Heart, A Paranormal Investigator's Journey, Ghost Hunting in Colorado, Theories for Worldwide Investigators, Phantom Trains and Haunted Rails of the U.S., Debunking Paranormal Myths and Exploring Psychosomatic Pareidolia. We're going to talk about that in just a second. And the latest one coming out, Ghosts in the Bible. Also want to make mention of all the great programming found at www.xzbn.net. It's there you'll find all the great shows on the X-Zone Radio and Television Broadcast Network. And certainly check me out at www.paranormalstakeout.com, and of course my team's website at www.paranormalfbi.com. Clarissa, the hour always seems to go very, very fast. We've talked a lot tonight. There's a lot of investigators out there. There's a lot of what I call mom and pop operations out there, which I have no issue with. There's a lot of folks that are going out there just for the thrill of the chase, so to speak. And there's other groups out there that are out there trying to truly put together the answers to what all this is. How do you, after 15 years, where do you classify CCPI?
We classify ourselves as one of those organizations that are out there genuinely trying to seek answers. But again, our primary focus is providing a service to our clients. So you do mostly houses then, correct? Residences? Residences and businesses. You'd be surprised at how many people call us in to do their, to check out their home, and they're like, well, since you offer a confidential environment, would you be willing to check out my workplace also? And we're like, yeah, absolutely.
Actually, it's happened with us. Yeah, so I totally understand that. Mm-hmm. So your focus being mostly helping the client.
Yes.
What is it you're wanting to do for your client? What is your goal with your client?
Our goal is to make them feel comfortable in their personal space. These people are so frightened that they are willing to allow a group of strangers into their personal space. And so it is our objective, regardless of the outcome, it is our objective to bring them, a sense of comfort, being in their space.
But how do you do that?
Space.
How do you do that? Do you?
The easy way is to debunk what they're experiencing, and present to them. Say, okay, this what you've got going on is not paranormal in nature. It's naturally occurring. Mm-hmm. This is how, and this is why. That's the easiest way. If we obtain data that indicates that there could potentially be paranormal activity going on, then we give the client a choice. It's like, you can try to find a way to peacefully live with this, peacefully coexist, or we can refer you to an outside source for eradication.
So you don't do that yourself?
No.
Okay.
No, only in extreme circumstances would we get involved with the eradication process.
Okay. Well, that tells me up front that you have special skills to do that.
We have a couple of people, and again, going back to that hot button topic. It's going to depend on the client's individual faith, because that's what's going to be the strongest in resolving a situation, in an eradication process. But we have we have people of all different faiths on the team. You know, we've got Catholics, we've got Mormons, we've got Wiccans, we've got
Sure.
we've got a lot of people on the, you know, of various backgrounds on the team. And so if one of our team members, you know, it has a rapport with the client and says, you know, I really think I can help you with this, and the client is comfortable with that, then that team member, you know, can go through and, you know, whether it's, you know, one of the pagans going through, you know, with sage and salt, you know, helping them that way, things of that nature.
And this is part of what concerns me about our field. And I think most of the time it's people. There are certainly charlatans out there that are trying to, you know, they'll charge money. They'll
Right.
try and convince them they can help them. But even folks that aren't, how to put this, they're good-hearted. Their intentions are good, but they are not as talented as they think they are.
Right.
Going into a home and saying, I can help you, I can make this go away.
Right.
And then they can't, or they say they do, and the people, for whatever reason, experience it again.
Right.
Doesn't that cause more harm?
It can, absolutely. And, you know, even less experienced investigation organizations can go in and cause harm. I cannot tell you how many times we've been called in by people who called in a different organization and who went in and emulated what they saw on television.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they were provoking and, you know, making an already tense situation worse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then we get called in, you know, and it's like, okay, you know, this is what's going on. And, you know, unfortunately that other organization made it worse. You know, here are your choices. Here are your options.
Okay. Yeah. And because ethics, I think, is something that is missing now. There are a lot of groups that are just going in, you know, they go to the cemetery in the middle of the night and they do some EVPs. I'm not as much worried about them, but I am worried about
Right.
folks that are truly gaining health. I guess that's one reason why, got to go back to the Reverend issue again. You go to a house and, Reverend Vazquez, help me. You know, can you say a prayer with me? Well, I'm not really a Christian. That's why I've got that huge issue with that.
I am more than happy to pray with anybody that wants to pray. That, you know.
Well, you understand what I'm trying to say, though.
I do understand what you're trying to say.
You cannot look at somebody who's a Christian looking for help and pray with them as if you're a Christian, because that's just not ethical. But so that's why I have that issue with that. And but once again, that's my opinion. Changing gears just a little bit here in our last few minutes together. What do you think a ghost is? What is your opinion?
I think there's different classifications. I think there are energy imprints, also known as residual hauntings, which could be the result of GPT, geographic psychic trauma, which is, you know, simply an energy imprint, similar to, you know, a fingerprint, or, you know, the finger is gone, but the print remains.
Just the energy was expended there, and it remains.
Right, and it remains. You know, energy cannot be created nor destroyed, and so, you know, it has to go somewhere. You know, there are also intelligent hauntings, which I believe to be, you know, the spirits of the departed that for whatever reason have not gone on, whether they go to heaven or hell or be reincarnated or, you know, what have you. You know, we still don't know conclusively what happens after we pass. So for whatever reason, you know, they remain. And so, you know, it really depends on, you know, what you're working with, and if you're able to classify what you're working with, you know.
But what do you think a ghost? What do you think a ghost is? What, in your personal opinion, is that EVP you got, or the guy you saw at the Air Force Station? What was it?
The gentleman that I saw when I was in the service, I genuinely believe to be residual energy. Okay. I don't think he was an intelligent entity at all. You know, he didn't appear to really acknowledge me. Yes, he looked in my direction and then he looked away and then walked through a cinder block wall. But he really didn't appear to acknowledge me. I believe he was residual.
Okay.
And so, but, to put it in a nutshell, in black and white, I do believe that a ghost is the spirit of a once living person that is, for whatever reason, still in our plane, still in our existence. Mm-hmm.
Didn't saw the light at the end of the tunnel and was afraid the elevator was going to go down instead of up and decided to stay.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. We've got just a couple of minutes, and you've been with a group that's 15 years. That's a long time for an organization, yes. And my hat's off to you. And in your bio, I notice you're considered a stubborn redheaded with a can-do attitude. Mm-hmm. That sets you apart from others in the community, and you're a true pioneer in the field. Mm-hmm. In our last minute or so, what makes you a pioneer in the field?
I think the fact that I have set forth trying to prove that paranormal investigation can be conducted scientifically, makes me a pioneer. A lot of people go out and they just try to emulate what they see on TV. Mm-hmm. Myself and my organization, we're developing theories. We're working on a project right now that we have been for the last year that we're calling Project Leyline. And we're trying to see if there's any connection between what people are interpreting as ley lines and paranormal activity. Mm-hmm. More specifically, ghostly activity. There's a lot of research right now between ley lines and extraterrestrial activity, but we're trying to see if there's any correlation between ley lines and ghostly phenomena.
And I got to cut you short. We are getting ready. But folks, go to her website, www.ccpi-paranormal.com, to see more about what the Colorado Coalition of Paranormal Investigators is up to. And we're out of time for tonight, folks, but thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next time on Paranormal Stakeout. Good night, all.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games, No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand, live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.